So Carolyn said that she wants to quit and get back to some sort of normal life. So I'm going to explain all that, of course. You know, this is a vlog, so vlogs got to be vloggy. Haven't ran this lawnmower in almost 2 years. I guess it's been 2 years now. We got the riding mower, so I didn't use it. I guess it's been 2 years. So now that her son's here, I got to, you know, trim up around his camper. The lawnmower gets, I don't want to get the riding mower that close to it. I mean, we live out here in the country, so it's not like you got to do really good trim work. I don't even have a weed eater. This was what we used for the first year we were here. We had all these weeds that grown up. I mean, well, anybody's seen the very first video of us being here, you can go to my channel, go right to the home page of my YouTube channel, and the trailer to my YouTube channel is the first day here, and the weeds are just, oh, it was terrible. All these thorny, sticky bushes. So we used a sickle bar blade and this lawnmower. So I drained the gas out of it before I stored it. I started it up, and it was quite clear the carburetor got gummed up from bad gas. It would die. So filled it up with some seafoam, and I ran it, just maybe a quarter of a tank of with gasoline with seafoam in it, and it started running a lot better. So now I've got seafoam mixture with gasoline sitting in the carburetor. I'm gonna let that sit 24 hours. It should be running fine. The rope broke, so I took the shroud off, grabbed the rope out of it. Right here is the rope. And so now all I gotta do is wind it around there like the old days back in the 70s, and you pull it. I'm not gonna replace the shroud. I mean, I'm not gonna spend any money on this, but it still runs good. Gotta clean the air filter and change the oil. It sat around. I was surprised it started at all. So, but seafoam's a really good stuff. I didn't know anything about it until recently, and I started using it, and I really like it. Of course, people are going to say don't use it. So Carolyn said that she wants to get back to a normal life, or some sort of normal life, or something like that. I forget exactly. As you know, Carolyn and I were nomads for several years. Started out in a pop-up camper, then we went into a homemade truck camper. Somebody burned down our pop-up camper, and everything we owned was in it. The only thing that wasn't in it was my cell phone, Carolyn's cell phone, and my tablet. I guess her tablet too. We went to town, and normally what I was doing was I was uploading videos when we went to town. So my tablet was with me, Carolyn's tablet was with her. A lot of people said that we burned it down because the evidence was that we had our phones and tablets with us. Well, it was just a standardized practice that when we went to town, we uploaded videos. But no, I don't know why I would want to burn it down. It was an $800 camper. We had no insurance on it. We had to build this for $700 or $800, but that was the accusation. But no, somebody burned it down. It was a homeless guy. I mean, I know exactly who he is. The National Forest knew who he was when we reported it. I don't know if they ever did anything about it, if they could prove it or what. That was kind of the start of everything. The thing is we were convinced. I don't know. I don't want to blame anybody else, but it is easy to fall in love with an idea, especially when your life is miserable. And our life was miserable. I just divorced, both of us. Just got out of debt. Had a terrible job. It was a rewarding job, but it was very stressful. Here's the riding mower. Those chains, you can't get stuck with chains on your riding mower. Oh, just can't get stuck. I try. I'm gonna sit on the riding mower, I think. Sure do like this mower. I didn't realize John Deere, this is the cheapest John Deere they had. I didn't realize John Deere was as good as it is. I mean, I know it's supposed to be good and all, but this is a fantastic mower. It sits out here. I covered up with a tarp. The battery, I don't do anything with. I put some seafoam in the gasoline in the wintertime, and then I started about once a month. But the battery's always charged up. I guess it's the John Deere battery. You know, you buy those Walmart batteries, they never lasted through the winter. And you take them inside. I've had 2 other mowers, and both of them, the batteries, of course, it was Walmart batteries. But I'm digressing, I suppose. When you're that stressed out in life, it's easy to fall in love with an idea, especially if somebody's telling you how great it is. And YouTubers were out there telling us how great it was. The thing is this one guy, he looks like Moses, you know, so your grandpa, Santa Claus. I mean, and you think, how could this guy be lying? And you don't even realize he is lying to you until you're actually doing the lifestyle and you're like, well, that's not true. He straight up lied. He talks about the freedom of van life. You don't have to have a job. Well, of course you have to have a job. How are you going to eat? How are you going to drink water? How are you going to have gas to go from place to place? But it's supposed to be the most freeing thing. And then I saw him in a documentary. Before he became famous on YouTube, you could tell he was he was just angry. He didn't want to be in the documentary. He's on his phone and he's shrugging off the camera crew. And I realized then that it was just a sales pitch and that all the YouTubers were a sales pitch. Of course, this is when the camper got burned down. I, of course, documented the camper being burned down. It wasn't like the nomadic community came to the rescue or anything. Oh, well, I guess you're on your own. They talk about like-minded people, but there were just homeless people out there. And I didn't consider myself homeless. I always said that if you could leave the lifestyle anytime you want it, just instantly quit, then you weren't homeless. But then I started making videos about the problems that we were having and the anxiety and the fear of it all. And once we put the truck camper, the homemade truck camper on the truck and we started traveling, I saw the things really looking up, because now you got your home with you. You didn't have to leave it behind to go into town to upload videos or buy food or anything. You could just take it with you. It was supposed to be a lot easier, and I just saw this as a huge opportunity. It was going to be much better than the camper, the pop-up camper, any camper. Anytime Carolyn and I went for a hike through the woods, I was thinking about this today. I know I'm getting off course, but there was a lot I want to talk about. I was able to simulate our hikes in the national forest. I cut these paths, and it's nice to walk back here, and it reminds us of the nomadic lifestyle, but we didn't have to leave our backyard to do it. But we couldn't even go for walks without just being absolutely fearful that somebody was going to steal not only our home, like they had before, burned it down, but they were going to take the truck too. Out there in the national forest without a phone signal, no car, nothing to eat, no water. And so it quickly became obvious that these YouTubers were lying. And I really started hammering home the idea that this isn't all fun and games. And a few other YouTubers started picking up on the trend that I was doing. But you weren't going to fight them. Oh, the comment section just lit up with people. Oh, you're so negative. Well, I'm negative because it's true. I'm not negative. I'm telling the truth. If truth is negative, then you're going to be bamboozled into doing something that you hate. And then I think there was people who went out there who legitimately was trying to convince themselves that it was great. The first time your car breaks down, you're out in the middle of nowhere. You don't know anybody. You have no resources. If my car breaks down now, I can have it towed off. I still got a place to live. But if your RV breaks down and you got to have it towed off, where are you going to go? Of course, you go to a hotel room, but man, I remember one time when I was self-employed, I was in Wisconsin. I think it was, can't think of the town. I want to say Madison, Wisconsin. I'm not sure if that's true though. So I'm in Wisconsin and the water pump bust on the car. And I instantly realized how big the world became. I called home, my ex-wife, my wife at the time, and she was able to Google, this was back before smartphones, she was able to Google everything I needed. A tow truck, she called the tow truck, got it over to the mechanics building. They weren't open, of course. Found me a hotel, got me a taxi. She was able to do everything from Missouri. So here I'm just scared to death. I have no way of finding or doing anything. She took care of everything for me. Now imagine you're out there by yourself. You have nobody to contact to make these phone calls. Granted, we had smartphones by then, but if you're out in the national forest and you don't have a signal, you don't have a smartphone. It reminds me of a comment that I got today. It says, 40 years ago, a group of my friends and I lived in an army mess tent. We didn't have any water, phone, electricity, or car. So I guess they had food. They didn't mention food. And we were 30 miles out on a desert road. It's the dream. Yeah, I want to be out there in the middle of nowhere in a mess tent, army mess tent. But it only takes about 30 seconds to realize this guy is lying to you, just like that Santa Claus guy was lying to us. You can only live 3 days without water. In New Mexico, in the middle of summer, you might make it a half a day. I know in Utah, We were in these Red Cliff National Forest, I think it was, something like that, Red Rock. And it was terrible. I mean, we drank gallons of water. Fortunately, we had a creek next to us that we were able to filter through a Berkey. Immediately, your imagination runs wild with, yeah, out there 30 miles on a dirt road, no car electric. I try not to do that on this channel. I really try to tell you to live your dream. Realize that I'm very happy here, and I express my happiness. But I try to explain things that go wrong. The generator breaks down, Carolyn's son is here, we're trying to figure all that out. Chickens die. You know, we didn't have a rooster for the longest time. Solar panels don't work occasionally, I gotta come out and fix them. I do try to tell you the stuff that goes wrong around here, but majority of the time, everything goes pretty well. And I guess you could say I'm lying to you and trying to convince you to live off grid. I'm not trying to convince you to live off grid. What I am trying to convince you of is to be happy. I am trying to convince you to be debt free. I am trying to convince you not to buy things on credit. So there are a few things that I have just an absolute moral code that I must insist that everybody do because it's just the right thing to do. But as far as living off grid, nah, that's something I want to do. Is it hard work? I'm going to say no. It's not any harder work than what I was doing working for an employer. But these are my honest assessments. But I am not trying to give you a fantasy so you'll watch my videos. You know, this Santa Claus guy, he tried to convince you to watch his videos. That's what he needed you to do. And so he was going to do whatever he could to sell you on the idea that this is great, watch my videos. I'm going to tell you how great it is every day so you watch my videos. We traveled for another, I think, 2 years in the truck camper. And one day we were in Arizona in the Coconino National Forest. And that was pretty relaxing there. It wasn't too hot, wasn't too cold. It was a big homeless camp. Now I would say the East Coast, Virginia, West Virginia, Mississippi, had a lot less homelessness, if any homeless. Well, no, they had some homeless. But Florida in the winter and Arizona out west, it was just nothing but homeless. We were in Arizona and we were thinking about trading in the truck camper for maybe a little schoolie, a little school bus. And then as the conversation grew, we said, well, maybe we'll just get a piece of property and we'll park the school bus on there. Well, why would we want to get a school bus when we just build a house if we're going to get a piece of property? And then we started talking and talking and talking. And before you knew it, within a few hours, we decided it was time to quit. Well, Carolyn actually decided it was time to quit. She decided she was going to buy a piece of property. So I made a video that day. I made the announcement that we were quitting. And so that was in August. By January, Carolyn found this piece of property for $4,200 with a well on it. I will admit that there was a lot of work. If you watch my trailer on my channel, you'll see how much work it was. But now the work's done. Now it's just feeding the chickens and putting firewood in the wood stove, filling the water tank. I mean, it's just not a lot of work anymore. Definitely not employer level work. Hardest thing I got to do every day is make videos. And now I can just relax. I've been called lazy, that I've gotten lazy since I got here. And maybe that's the point. Maybe the point is I killed myself. I was able to get my finances in a situation because I'm debt free where I don't have to kill myself anymore. And I know that kind of statement is a jealousy driven statement. You know, I'm 70 years old and I like your videos, but I'm not watching them anymore because I think you've turned lazy. Well, it's that you're jealous that you worked yourself to death for 40 years and you have nothing to show for it. You're just a miserable old man who wants to lash out at someone who found freedom. I'm trying to show you how to be free. The first step is being debt free. The second step is don't let people lie to you. Analyze everything that you see. Analyze it. When you read something in the comment section, what is it that is wrong with that comment? I lived out in the desert with no water, electricity, phone, or car. 30 miles on a dirt road. What'd you drink? And then once you get past the lies, you can start to look at things a little bit more realistically. The nice thing about this place is I can't lie to you. If we don't like it, let's say we change our minds and we don't want to live off grid anymore, or we need more electric, we can buy more solar panels, or we can hook up to the grid. But we don't have to quit this life. We can continue it, being happy and free. You just gotta be debt free. You do that and you can do a lot. So if you can click this up next box, it'll take you to that first video on my channel of when we were here that first day. So I hope I can inspire you. Don't be buffaloed and get debt free so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.